Have you ever treated every hive in your apiary the same exact way and still watched them respond completely different from one another? The reason this matters is because when that happens, most beekeepers don't think, oh, that's interesting. They think, I must have missed something or messed something up. And if you carry that assumption that you messed up long enough, you start changing things that were never actually the problem. I see this every season in different people's apiaries, in emails, in conversations with beginners and experienced beekeepers who are trying to pay attention and do right by their bees. And almost always it follows the same pattern. By the end of this video, you will understand why consistent care and practice doesn't produce consistent outcomes. And you'll learn how to start seeing what each colony is actually responding to individually. You'll begin to understand why two colonies treated with the same exact care will give you two completely different outcomes. Stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hive Doctor. Now here's how this situation typically unfolds. Let's say you apply the same treatment, and that could be a varroa mite treatment, or it could just be treatment in how you care for your colonies, but you do the same thing across your entire apiary. Same product, same timing, same dosage, same intentions, and even the same day. One hive may rebound quickly, another looks unchanged for some reason, and the third actually seems to get worse. So you check your notes, you reread the instructions, and you replay all the decisions in your head again. And without having any real answers, you just simply act harder, faster, and with more intention, thinking it's, being responsible. And then slowly, confusion seems to creep its way in, while your confidence is slipping out the back door. I know this feeling. I know exactly what it feels like, and it sucks. The unknowns in beekeeping is one of the things I don't like the most, except for in the case of when there's something more to learn. But when it comes to me and my methods, I want to know why something didn't work, so I can tweak it, and it work next time. That not knowing does not make me feel like a very good beekeeper. Was the treatment bad? Was the timing off? Did you miss something obvious? And eventually the quiet question shows up. Why does this whole process seem so unpredictable? The problem wasn't the treatment, and it's not that the method didn't work, and most of the time, it's not you. A lot of the time, it can be the timing. But still, you did the same timing across all of your colonies, so it still doesn't really explain the different outcomes. Here's the part that most beekeepers are missing. We think we're treating all of these things, and that all of these things, our colonies, are the same. We know one might be weaker, we know one might be stronger. The issue is that each colony is operating under different internal pressures. Pressures like varroa mite, small hive beetle, wax moths, nutritional deficiencies, internal manipulations by the beekeeper. Yes, we are a pressure, so we've got to time our pressures when they matter the most and disturb the colony the least. Sometimes our interventions are quite necessary, and other times restraint is the better course of action. Either way, colonies don't respond to our interventions in isolation. Colonies respond through forage availability, the presence of eggs, the brood structure, stress load, and the timing of all of it. So when we expect identical outcomes from all of our colonies, we're assuming identical conditions, or at the very least, that we can get the weak hives up to our standards of where we think they should be. And that assumption is almost never true, unfortunately. You see, once you see this, it explains why advice that worked perfectly well for some other guy doesn't translate to you and your operation, and why your own results can vary hive to hive without any observable mistakes. This doesn't mean you're inconsistent. It doesn't mean that we're bad beekeepers. It doesn't mean that we're careless. And it definitely doesn't mean you're necessarily behind. It means that you're responding to some sort of surface behavior that you're observing the symptoms of, instead of the underlying pressures that each colony is individually dealing with. And these pressures can stack. One hive may have only 1 or 2 pressures that they're easily being able to rebalance and reorganize from, while another colony may be dealing with 4 to 5 pressures that you're not aware of, plus they're both now dealing with the pressure of our intervention, despite us doing the same thing to both colonies. So, 2 colonies can look very much the same on the outside, while dealing with completely different or number of pressures on the inside. One hive is absorbing the interventions you just made, another is already compensating and overcoming the pressures inside, and a third is now overloaded and tipping past the point of no return. The treatment didn't fail, your care didn't fail, it just simply entered different systems. Each beehive is under different circumstances than the one 2 feet away from it. Now here's something that you can do. The next time 2 or more of your hives respond differently to the same care, don't ask, why didn't this work? Instead, ask yourself, what pressures were already present in each colony before I stepped in? That single question changes the way that you orient to your colonies before taking action in the future. You stop chasing the fixes and start reading context. Context that matters to each colony individually. You're no longer asking for control, you're asking for more information. Information available to you if you take the time to pause and observe. And once you start noticing internal colony pressures, you'll begin to see it everywhere. You'll be opening up a whole new world of these little subtle signals that you never noticed before. Let's say spring buildup that suddenly stalls without any warning because there was a late freeze, but you don't see the results of that for 2 to 3 weeks later inside the colony. Or in a fall colony that collapses despite having a low mite count. I know I've had that happen before, but it turns out it was just queen failure I was not aware of a month prior. And then there's those queens that have perfect genetics, at least on paper, but they couldn't stabilize the system around them. These outcomes didn't just come out of nowhere. These outcomes were forming already weeks before you noticed. Remember, these pressures, they always arrive before the symptoms do. And we just don't know how to read it yet. So this week, or the next time that you can get into your hives, pay attention to the pressures that are present, not just the results. It will tell you far more than protocols and checklists ever will. And if you're someone who prefers observing signals over forcing solutions, also guilty, #just saying, then you're in the right place. Hey, we're all beekeepers here, and we're figuring it out a day at a time. Thank you for joining me in this video today. Check out the resources I have for you in the comments and the descriptions below. Hive Doctor out.